It's kind of like a cultural thing. We can tell who has our version of Hode. It's probably the guy with the badge that says manager. It's like, oh, that one's got some Hode. Come here, Hode man. I need some help, and you got to make it happen. Right? But that's what happens. I mean, we give that to them. We say, we're going to give you the authority to make something happen. Right? Because your company has given you the authority to make things happen. Right? They blessed the manager. They gave them some smika and said, we're going to bless you with the power to make things happen. Okay? Ella, where's my Ella? Okay. Whenever I was going in her room the other night, and I said, this is about a week ago, I guess. I said, honey, I love you. She's laying in her bed. She says, every night she says, Daddy, tell me a story. Sometimes I'm just so tired. I'm not creative. I got to make up these stories. She doesn't let me tell her just any story. I have to make them up. So I said, I'll tell you what. If you could have any wish tonight, what would that wish be? She said, you would tell me a teddy bear story. I said, all right, well, what if you had another wish? What would another wish be? She said, I would have a really great dream. I said, all right, what more wish that you might want? She said, I would sleep in yours and Mommy's bed tonight. And I said, okay, out of all three of the wishes, I'm going to grant you one. Which one do you want? She said, I want to sleep in yours and Mommy's bed tonight. I said, okay, your wish is granted. She said, go tell Mommy first. See, she knows who has the Hode. Right? I'm just like one of the scribes. Did Mommy tell you that's okay? No, not yet. Well, you better go get some smika. Right? And that's what's happening. I mean, we recognize when people have the authority. And when Jesus speaks, power happens. And that's an important thing for us to understand. In the book of Daniel, in the Old Testament, Daniel has this vision about the Messiah when he's going to come in the future. And in this vision, he talks about it. He says, in my vision at night, I looked. And there before me was one like a son of man. Okay, this is language for the Messiah. Coming with the clouds of heaven. Okay, that meant that he had power. He was with God. Okay, because God is the cloud God. He's the one on Mount Sinai in the cloud. Right? He said, coming on the cloud of heaven, he approached the Ancient of Days, the eternal, Yahweh, God, the Father. Right? And he says, the Ancient of Days, and was led into his presence. He was given Hode, authority, glory, and sovereign power. All peoples, nations, and men of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. And then in response to Daniel's vision, Matthew records where Jesus says in Matthew 28:18, it says, then Jesus came to them and he said, all authority, all Hode in heaven and on earth has been given to me. That's why he can say to people standing in the synagogue, if you want to be a part of the kingdom of God, if you want to live in the kingdom now, if you want to live like you're living for God, here's what you got to do. You got to love your enemy. And then people started doing it. If you want to live in the kingdom of heaven, you can't hoard all your stuff. You got to share with people in need. And people started doing it, and they started living in the kingdom. They found joy. Right? Selfishness, right? 9/10 of misery is selfishness. Almost guaranteed. Anytime you're miserable, it's because you're not getting what you want. When we learn to share, we learn to live in the kingdom. See, entering the kingdom of heaven doesn't happen when you die. Right? Entering the kingdom of heaven happens when you decide, I live for God. God's the ruler of my life. I might live in America, but I'm under his sovereignty. I'm under his rule. Right? So when Jesus says these things and people start doing them, they're like, wow, when he teaches me something and I actually start to practice it, power happens. Somebody's hungry. I walk over and give them some food. Bam! It's like heaven just injects itself right there. Over here, there's a person that has no friends. Well, I don't know. They have a goofy haircut and their clothes aren't cool. I don't know. I don't know why. Right? Maybe they can't get a girlfriend because they just don't have what it takes, right? They're all alone. Nobody cares about them. I don't want to be seen with you because if I'm seen with you, I'm associating with you. If I associate with you, then my friends won't think I'm cool because they're going to associate me with your uncoolness. Right? Then all of a sudden, somebody cool comes along and says, hey man, how you doing? And makes a friend. Bam! It's like heaven injects itself right there in our world. When Jesus speaks, power happens. And when you speak what Jesus speaks, power happens. That's why we're his disciples. See, in order to have a shmikah, you had to follow a shmikah rabbi, and the shmikah rabbi had to bless you with the ability to interpret. Right? We follow Jesus. And Jesus gives us the authority to teach what he taught. When Jesus speaks, power happens. So if the people who are speaking on behalf of Jesus speak, power happens. We don't just share information. We don't just walk up and say, well, you know, if you got a new haircut and bought some really cool clothes from over there at the mall, you probably have some friends. Right? That's information. We need something to happen. We need power to happen. When Jesus speaks, power happens. When Jesus speaks, chaos is replaced by peace. So if we're speaking what Jesus speaks, we learn to love our enemies and we bless those who curse us. And then suddenly power starts happening. The hopeless find encouragement. The powerless find friends to help them.